Yeah, g'day and welcome back to my workshop. Now I would really like to get rid of this crane and the big motor and gearbox out of the middle of my workshop and stick that back into the lathe before I can put the motor in. I need the pneumatics sorted. That means new pipes and some more fittings, and they haven't arrived yet. Well, if I can't work on that, I might as well start another large and completely in the way job that needs to be done. How about chopping up the control cabinet? Hey guys, do any of you have like 1 meter of Festo PUN 10mm by 1.5? I just need it as the exhaust pipe coming out of my pneumatic system. Buying a meter's not actually that easy. Most people aren't that happy to sell it to you. Heavy bastard. The Lathe's electrical cabinet was just too big. It was made that way for 1980s electronics, but it can be a lot smaller for modern ones. This is the back of the cabinet that sits against the lathe. You can see the lathe finishes about here, so I'll basically just chop out a piece there, keep the end, sort of chop this bit out. Now my plan is to leave the back basically open and mount some of the smaller electrical components, like all the control stuff, onto the door and have like the swing out door. Mount most of the control components and some of the DIN rail stuff like power supplies. This is a safety relay, so I'm assuming I'm going to end up probably cutting it down roughly through here. Keeping just a bit of the back to be able to weld it back together. Now at this point, some of you are probably going, cutting this thing into pieces and welding it back together. Now that's a bloody stupid thing to do. Yeah. Hey Nico, you got fan mail. I wonder where my zinc torque multiplier got to. Right, this latch I want to reuse, so it's going to need to be reset to 35mm. The lathe's base has got this chip chute molded into it, and it's got a lid on it. So yeah, it looks like I want 70 wide. I went and visited my mate Jörg, who's got the later model Schaublin. He bought the bones of the 125 CNC where I got the tailstock, and he's taken the headstock off it and put it onto his 125 CCN, which is a more modern design. So it's quite interesting, the refresh rate on the monitor, and that when you change your parameter, it takes a while.
Really nice.
So let's see the spindle going.
That's 500 RPM now. You can still hear the balls of the ball bearings.
So is it going to be a pull the bearings, re-lube them, or?
Yeah, something like this.
So looking here at the collet closer mechanism, on mine this was originally manufactured with dry air, but you're saying that on yours it's actually lubricated?
Yeah, in mine everything is lubricated. There's just one way of air passing through the lubricator. So
my thought was that because of the size of the piston, which is bigger on mine, this has got 2 pistons within it, whereas mine's only got a single piston. That's why it's a bigger diameter. I was kind of assuming that sending lubricated oil into it would cause separation and the oil would slowly build up from the bottom and maybe make a hydraulic lock. Jörg's looked at this and said this is exactly the same between my model and his. His recommendation would be to lubricate this as well, which of course would simplify my whole lubrication system significantly, because then I don't need 2 different paths for dry and lubed air. It's not that warm anymore. It's actually kind of chilly. I guess that's as red as these ones are going to get. So let's get them in the smoker. Make chipotles. Yum. Well, that's it for the red ones, and there's not that many nearly red ones, so I'll go and harvest some more green ones and make a mix of red and green chipotles. To do the smoking, I've got this searable. This was kind of cool. This was the packing material from, I don't know, something I bought, and the guy wrote me a comment that this stuff's supposed to be really good for smoking, so let's give it a go. A couple of viewers recommended I get one of these smoking snakes. I'll put a link in the comment section about it. If I fill it in here. Now you're supposed to just ignite one end and it'll run for 8 to 12 hours supposedly. So
moments later.
Okay, well, that's not a very good start. It's already gone out. Let's try that again. Do any of you remember when Weber made red barbecues? This is kind of a family heirloom. I guess Rotary SMP's dad bought it in the 70s or 80s. It's pretty cool.
A little later.
Oh darn, we went out nearly immediately again. I'll try lighting both sides. Well, that was a lot more work than I expected. The surely is pretty thick steel here, and the back is a double layer with a, like, I think 2mm plus 3mm. It's not even quite through.
Tomorrow.
So this is the bit I didn't cut right through, and you can see why this old Tony developed his acoustic and water and other versions of cutting. It's way easier than using an angle grinder. Maybe he'll train me in his techniques. This is 2mm steel, so I'm going to weld it with these tiny little electrodes, which are only 2mm thick. They need 50 to 60 amps, so let's go down to 55, make it halfway. Right, now that the door's tacked up, I can start looking at the actual cabinet itself. Since this is much thicker, I'm now going to use a normal 1/8 inch. So now the big question, with it all tacked up, does the lid still fit? Alright, that's looking good. Well, it looks like it's probably gone out again. It's not that warm here, so I don't think they're going to dry naturally. I'm going to have to finish them off in the kitchen. I had to relight it about 5 or 6 times, but I'll dump this out, put some new stuff in and give it another go. So what's the key, guys, to keeping this sort of thing burning for the whole time? Is it best to pack it really densely, or is it best to have it more loose? Leave it a bit open so it breathes better. So these are the ones from last year. Once they've dried, they look like this, but it's going to take another while for those ones to dry. Well, I'm pretty happy about how that's coming along so far. What I'll do, I'll leave it just tacked up, cut out the middle section right around, stick it together in this direction, and then once I've got it all tacked up and ready to go, I'll do all the final welding with my mate's, MIG. So, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.